calls himself a tornado wrangler. If you feel it, chase it! I said if you feel it, chase it! All right, here we go. Oh, she's perfect!
She's gorgeous!
You thought you could destroy a tornado.
We never had a chance.
You want one? You don't face your fears. You ride them.
We got twins! Twins!
It's Trinidad the Islandman, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, and today, opening weekend, opening day of the new movie Twisters, starring Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones. I went ahead and I saw it, and well, remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And for Twisters, it is overall a shock a thumbs up. Let me just say that I did enjoy this movie on many levels. You know, I remember the first movie. I did not revisit that movie prior to seeing this movie, and I'm glad to say that you don't have to either. This is not a direct sequel to that movie. It is in the very bare bones, basic form, you know, storm chasers after tornadoes. And like the first one, that is what this second one is. But they have no relationship to the previous people in the first movie other than there are tornadoes and massive destructions. Cows are mentioned in this movie, but you do not see some cow flying across the screen, especially at a drive-in. However, there is a movie theater, so... but spoilers, no cows go flying throughout this film. There is a chicken though, so you know there is you know, like to say there were no animals harmed during the making of this film, but early on, chickens face the brunt of not only the tornado's wrath but also of man's wrath as well, and not just our love of chicken. All right, but I digress. So yes, shock a thumbs up for Twisters. Gosh, well, you've seen the trailers, and essentially you know that Glenn Powell is this crazy tornado chasing YouTube like clicks kind of guy, chasing down these tornadoes with his team. Very you know, I'd want to say old school, but you know, I'd say no school. You know, at least that's what the trailers would have you believe. You know, and we have this other girl, played by Daisy Edgar-Jones, who looks familiar. I don't remember if I've seen her in anything. She has kind of a familiar face, but essentially the show centers around her. It starts up 5 years ago. Her and 4 other friends are in college trying to get a grant on how to tame tornadoes. Essentially, she has come up with a theory, a scientific theory, and she puts it to the test, chasing down some tornadoes to try to limit the damage of these tornadoes and, best case scenario, disperse the tornadoes altogether. And to do so, she's looking, of course, for a tame, moderate, you know, Category 1 tornado, which unfortunately her and her friends discover a Category 5, and her device, her scientific theories, although working good in theory, did not do the job. And three of those friends of hers are killed. So 5 years later, she's pretty much become a recluse, gone away from Oklahoma where these tornadoes, where the accident took place, never revisiting that of, where her friends were taken from her. Think Man of Steel and Clark Kent's dad. Essentially, that's what takes place. But her friend, the one that survives, the fifth friend, basically brings her back in, promising of more scientific data, having gotten his hands on some prototypes for some smaller Spy 1 radars. These are essentially military grade radars used to track missiles, etc. Their telemetry, gathering data on altitude, speed, etc. All the nifty whiz-bang stuff that missiles have. These radars are used to find their capabilities and or weaknesses, etc. He has the idea of bringing these radars to bear upon tornadoes, thus being able to gather enough information for a better model of study to determine and predict what the devastation's going to look like from various types of tornadoes. And she, being very well, or at least previously in the field, he brings her in, and she reluctantly goes. And that is where she meets her counterparts, the flash-in-the-pan Glenn Powell and his YouTube followers, all chasing these tornadoes, which basically get in the way of their scientific data. More than that, I will not say, but pretty soon, reluctantly, she is drawn back into the life of being a tornado chaser, especially after, again, witnessing firsthand the devastation and the impact that these tornadoes have. And thus, wishing to limit that scope, she goes back to her previous calculations, her previous experiments of trying to disable these tornado wind vortexes before or just after they take place. And for the most part, I'm no scientist, mind you, but what is presented in this movie seems, I have not researched this, but seems fairly scientifically sound, at least on face value of that, taking moisture. So there's some means of placing a chemical in the vortex of the tornado, and as it is sucked up and lifted up through the tornado, this substance will react with the moisture in the air, taking the moisture out, which is one of the fundamental things that make the tornado with the heat and everything, and essentially making it so that it dissipates, slows down the wind speed, and thus, is no longer a tornado. And so she's drawn back into that, seeing firsthand once again what the devastation of these tornadoes can do, and wishes to look at that and stop it from happening again, especially where she had lost her friends. So based on that, we have this movie, and there's not too bad chemistry between Daisy and Glenn as well, although the age difference is kind of creeping me out here with all of his co-stars here. I mean, he's like in his mid-40s here, and these chicks that he's, starring against are like early 20s or mid-20s. I guess it's all good. So maybe that's just because I'm an old man. I'm thinking, wait a minute there, that doesn't seem right. But oh well. Either way, in Hollywood, it's okay. And you'll enjoy this movie, especially if you enjoyed the first one. There are a lot of gotcha moments, lots of adrenaline chasing excitement. Plenty of action to be had in this, and like I said, some scientific tidbits here and there. I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson will go and debunk some of this, but I think, just off the hand of it, that it seems relatively fundamentally sound. This possibility of disrupting tornadoes. Definitely better than nuking the eye of a hurricane, for sure. Much safer for everyone involved. All right. So again, shock a thumbs up for the new movie Twisters. Will probably be the #1 movie this weekend at the box office, and dominate through the rest of the week until Deadpool 3 comes out with Deadpool and Wolverine, which will, of course, overtake Twisters at the box office, knocking it down to #2. But still, it should do pretty well this weekend and the following week at the box office. So go ahead and see it there at the theaters while you can. And if not, definitely don't miss it streaming when it hits whatever services you have. All right, mahalo and aloha.